What is up, everyone? What is up? Sorry, I am a little late today. I was trying to figure out a bunch of stuff with my house. The roof is all jacked up and going back and forth with insurance and roofers, and insurance is like, well, it's not that bad, and I'm like, yeah, it's that bad. And then debating if I'm gonna actually pull from the insurance, it's freaking all a racket. But anyway, it looks like the roof repair might be pushing off my bathroom remodel for at least a year or two, which is a huge bummer. Yeah. Teach me Docker. What about Docker? I mean, it's just a way to run applications in a new user space, kind of like a virtual machine, but kind of not. Sort of like adjacent to that. Anything specific? Okay, weird question. Where were you on 9/11? Class. So the day before 9/11, I was actually in DC, and my mom took me out to see our nation's capital and learn all the history and everything. Interesting story is my mom actually requested me to get a tour of the Pentagon for 9/11. We wrote our senator, got the, invite, so we could get like the little, civilian tour, all that. You can do that. People don't know you can do that. Or at least, I don't know if they still do that, but, if you write your congressperson and say, look, I'm taking my child to DC and I want to show them, our nation and all that. We'd like to see these things. Yeah. Anyway, for some reason, my mom and I got exhausted and we're just like a week before, because we were there for like almost a week, in DC, seeing everything. And like the night before, my mom's like, so do you want to go to the, Pentagon tomorrow? And I'm like, I kind of do, but I'm also really tired and I want to go home. My mom drove all the way through the night, literally slept in the car, woke up, went right to school, and then the thing happened, and then my mom picked me up again a couple hours later. Like, this is a critical time in our nation's history, and we need the whole family together because we don't know what's going to happen. Yeah. Why don't you teach us cybersecurity, tech, and gaming on Linux? This is how I know you do. It's every stream. I am new here. I need help installing Linux on my laptop without removing Windows. You can do it just by running a Linux live CD. Most Linux live CDs will let you dual boot, but the issue becomes Windows will mess with that dual boot. I forgot the specific way somebody was saying to use Windows bootloader to manage it. I haven't done it but yeah, you can do it very easily. It's been pretty easy to do for decade and a half or so, like back since the Windows XP days. I know it was easy to dual boot a Linux box. The rule of thumb was install Windows, then install Linux. There's plenty of guides out there to do it. I'm not sure of the best practice because I know the way that I used to do it when I used to dual boot is no longer the recommended way because Windows is a bully on the playground, and then one day you'll get an update and then it'll nuke your Linux bootloader, and then you're sitting there spending hours trying to repair it, and probably will give up and just reinstall Linux because of how Windows messed it up. But the weird thing is your Linux data is still there. But yeah. Anyway, it's very easy to do. Plenty of people do it. You also can do Windows subsystem for Linux. So it won't run smoothly, I guess, with Windows. That's not what I'm saying at all. Not saying that at all. You can have it run. I just haven't done it in years, so I don't know the best practice right now. You can also use Windows Subsystem for Linux. You can also run Linux in a Hyper-V virtual machine, which is way better than running VirtualBox or anything on a Windows OS, because it's a Type 1. But still, yeah, there's Windows Subsystem for Linux. There is ways to dual boot it. I just don't. A lot of people don't because Windows is a problem when it comes to dual booting and stuff. I need caffeine. It's been a long day. And that's why I've got a wine cooler with wine and energy drinks. But yeah, the one thing also I have to tell people is everyone thinks they want to dual boot their machine. Here's what ends up happening. I'm just telling you from experience, and so many people say the same thing. Oh, I'm going to dual boot so that way I can use Linux and Windows and all that. But what's going to end up happening is, most likely, you're going to go out thinking, oh, I'm going to use Windows and Linux and then flip back and forth. Then you're going to realize you're going to sit in one operating system more than the other. You're going to probably end up leaning more towards Linux over time. And then you're barely going to go into the Windows box. Then you're going to realize every time you log into the Windows box, you have to do all these updates. And then you have to spend about an hour or two doing Windows updates every time you get in. Everyone that thinks that they're going to do a dual boot, almost everyone ends up regretting it. Not because there's any issue with running a dual boot, just because Windows is a hassle to maintain, and you realize it when you're not living on it. I'm being honest. And for a lot of people that are like, well, you know, there's these few games on Windows that only I can... Look, there's thousands of other games. I'm playing Doom Dark Ages in a little bit here on Linux, too. But yeah, you can dual boot if you want, but I'm going to tell you, eventually you're probably going to realize... 1, it's inconvenient. 2, Windows is a bully on the playground. 3, you can do it eventually smoothly, but then you're going to be like, wait, I'm wasting all this disk space on this thing. Trust the guy that had an entire 1 terabyte NVMe here at one point on this box over here, dedicated to Windows. And then I was in the middle of a BIOS update, and then it, for some reason, booted into Windows, and Windows was on long enough to do a Windows update, nuked the bootloader, and then I ended up having to reinstall Pop! OS and nuked Windows, so I never had that happen again, because at that point, I hadn't booted into the Windows side of things for a little over a year. In World Skills Championship Cybersecurity, I am at the regionals. Any tips? Not sure about that thing. Never really heard of it. I wouldn't know what advice to really give in there. A lot of the advice I have is more towards, the professional career and, home labbing and education side of it. Not so much the CTF side of it. That's the honest truth. If that's where it's at. Just get your files off and wipe out Windows. Yeah, that's pretty much what a lot of people end up doing. Oh yeah, get the headset over here. I've got finals in Shanghai's. It's basically CTF, yeah. Don't get me wrong, I'm not hating on the idea of CTF. It's just one of those things where a lot of the ideas of CTF is usually in a sanitary, controlled environment. And it's not really... You can learn some great concepts, don't get me wrong, but it's not really indicative of, like, a lot of the corporate networks you'll actually come across. Like, for example, I have a lot of these pen testers that I've known that are like, oh, I do really well in these scores and everything. And then they'll come in and do pen testing in an actual enterprise. And they have to actively drop their security consistently to get them to get results. It's like, well, we needed, we had to drop the security on the port. So, drop the 802.1x. Oh, we had to drop the security, on the zero trust. Oh, we had to drop the security on the... Like, you have to, like, actively give them more permissions and more handicaps to find things. That's just my 2 cents. It's great concepts you can learn from CTFs, but... yeah, it's just kind of a fun thing. It's, like, basically a game. You can learn quite a few concepts, don't get me wrong. I'm not hating on the idea of it. I'm just saying... a lot of that also won't technically translate into a proper secured enterprise environment. At least, a decent one. Should I keep forcing my users to change their password every 90 days? So actually, there's a new discussion, not new, but there's a discussion that NIST has been, a new standard NIST has actually been pushing out there. Let me see if I can pull this up. Any opinions on the new Try Hack Me Red Team cert? I don't do the Try Hack Me's and the Hack the Box and all. Nothing against them. It's just not really been a thing that I've really done. I found more of my time is better spent on home labbing and tinkering and learning what actually is done in an enterprise setting and how people could actually compromise networks. But I also learned from the old school. You got to remember, I'm in my early 30s and I've been doing this stuff for like close to all my life. I mean, I started tinkering with Linux when I was around 9 years old. But yeah, let me pull this up. So this was an article that was written a while ago. And so they did have the requirement of 15 to 64 characters for a good password, of course. But the new guidelines are looking... well, where was it? Was it this one? Yeah, still require 8 characters. Hold on, this is not the one I was looking at. Hold on. Let me find the right, hold on. I gotta go through and find the right article. Okay. I think this was it. Make sure outlined in 863B 60B. Okay, so there's a new draft coming out. That's what I'm trying to find. This password guidelines, password manager, password length. Basically there's no... Yes, you should for now, but here we are. So, there's a new standard coming out. The new standard proposed by NIST norms implies that it is no longer necessary to rotate the password every 90 days, but it is necessary to change the password only if it has been leaked in a data breach. So basically what you can do is you can hook it into services like Have I Been Pwned, things that actually check for passwords. There's also another service out there for enterprises called SpyCloud, which you can actually integrate into your Active Directory and stuff like that, and then it can check the end hash of a password out there and then rotate it if it's very similar. So, yes, you should rotate it every 90 days, but it's also that conventional wisdom is starting to change that you may not need to as much. But remember, this standard here is dependent upon you having proactive measures to consistently check if your password's been leaked in some kind of a breach. So you have to have that kind of a service in your security posture somewhere, which you should have anyway, because the idea is... for the past few years has been rotate your password every 90 days and check for password leaks. And change password whenever one comes first. Office 365 is automatic risk-based password resets. Was thinking about enabling that. Go for it. But the honest truth is Office 365, I mean, you should be using an identity provider. So if you're using Office 365, specifically Microsoft Entra, as your identity provider, yeah, definitely lean on Microsoft Entra for things like that. But if you're using an identity provider, you should have SAML authentication to your Office 365 to something like Jump Cloud or Okta or Duo, or I feel like I'm missing a few. There's quite a few identity providers out there. You should have it. connect into those kind of systems, because the idea is that you should only have it single sign-on, and you should have one password to rule everything, and then there's just certs that actually have the connection go back and forth. This also allows for better user management as well, because you can centralize the user controls, and you can, do skim provisioning, or at least JIT, just in time. Best OS to run Seek on Proxmox. Proxmox is its own thing. I don't know what you're asking. Yeah, it's hard to audit when you have 20 different apps for sign-in. Yeah, well, you should be using an identity provider. Then you should be posturing it against some kind of zero trust network access. You could then use a EDR with identity tools. You should be doing things like ITDR. Cybersecurity is not just a one and done. There's many layers to this. But yeah, you can use a tool like Avanon to also check for shadow IT. So you can hook that in with your SAML authentication. That can be your email security gate. It's not an email security gateway, but it's more of a email security tool. I like it. It works nice for my content creation email to filter out all the scammy emails. Like, buddy, I get at least a few dozen attempts per week, maybe a couple dozen attempts per week, of people trying to phish me. It's always these vendors that are posing as, that, or the ones that, pretend to be from TikTok and, all of that. And, but Avanon catches a lot of that. What it does is it hooks into the Office 365, the Graph API, I think it is. So it does that direct. It's not a gateway like Mimecast and Proofpoint. Now, Proofpoint and Mimecast definitely are more robust products, but they also have a more robust price tag. Avanon is about $7 per user per month. Not affiliated, not sponsored, just saying good stuff. So definitely look at something like that. I know Proofpoint has their adaptive DLP or whatever they call that, which is similar to what Avanon can do, is another product they bought, which works pretty nice. Can you give me the beginner version of Zero Trust Network? Well, basically the idea is we're moving away from VPNs. VPNs are kind of weak in the sense that you have a central server that you are hitting. And the issue with it is that people are attacking the VPN servers to try to gain access to the rest of the systems. We don't use a VPN at work anymore in the traditional sense. Our VPN is run through ZTNA. Now, there's different ZTNA providers, like you have TwinGate, you have Palo Alto has their own, there's Zscaler, which I'm partial to. But basically the idea is nothing. You don't trust any of the access on the wire, anything like that. And when you go to actually access your applications that are on-prem, there's private access connectors that, you have a little instance there to run. So it's kind of like a VPN in that sense, but a zero trust network access will also run it through their servers to do analysis and things like that. Now, how deep the analysis goes, that's a whole other thing. Zscaler basically does the scanning as it goes as well. So if a site does happen to get compromised, it can block it at the network edge. So whereas to oppose, say, something like CrowdStrike is protecting it at the device level, you now have the network edge and the device level. So a ZTNA will allow you to also do a lot more posture checking and DLP. There's a lot more you can do with ZTNA than you can do a traditional VPN. Now, Zscaler, I know, has their layer 3 VPN capability that they've recently added, so you can, if you still need a traditional VPN, you can use that hooked into Zscaler. But yeah. We've recently been using that as a replacement for VPN. Yeah. Infra calls it Global Secure Access. Interesting way to call it that, unless that's a specific product that they're using, but it's Zero Trust Network Access, ZTNA. Where a VPN will give access to an entire subnet, ZTNA can give you specific access to certain ports and an address. Yeah, So you have a little bit more control when it comes to that, because VPNs are very complex when you start splitting them out into like different networks and everything like that, especially if you have multiple sites. Because think about all these different VPN connections that are going on at any given time, and you're in an enterprise. So you have VPNs between different sites, and they have to have multiple VPNs go on. It's insane what you have to do to maintain those. Then you have to have splits on all of them. Then you have to maintain all those networks and everything like that. A ZTNA simplifies a lot of that. Of course, a VPN you host yourself, whereas a ZTNA, you usually have a service provider do that. So there is, of course, a little bit of a cost. But a lot of people are shifting their costs of having to expense the hardware and personnel into softwares as a service or infrastructure as a service or platforms as a service, depending on the different ways, because a lot of companies don't want to run their own data centers for very good reasons. Because if you run your own data center, you now have to consider your own backup data center. You now have to consider what happens if your own data center goes down, upgrades, maintenance, everything like that goes into that. It's a lot that goes into it. Been using SD-WAN for a connection between sites. Yeah. Where I work, we're actually moving towards zero trusting everything. So if you come into our building and you do a Wireshark sniff, you don't see anything on the on the network. Like, everything is isolated. You don't see anything. I think, like, when they did a pen test, they only saw, like, a couple of kiosks. That was it. But, yeah. And then what you can also do, it's really cool, is Zscaler. So we have, like, guest networks like many businesses do. You can create a tunnel that still has all your traffic that drops to the wire, go over Zscaler. Yeah, so there's a lot that goes into it. And we're rolling it out corporate-wide to all the different sites and things like that. I can't get too much into specifics on it, but needless to say, that's where things are going to go. Now, it's a decently sized company, so it's probably going to be a few years for that to happen. But, yeah. Hey, thank you for the follow, it's Lizzo. But actually, we have a warehouse that uses handheld computers that don't support ZTNA software. Yeah, so that's where the tunnels come into play. So we have devices, too, that need to have them go over a network. So a lot of those devices are dropped onto their own subnet, and then all traffic that leaves, unless we specifically exclude it from there, with like source IP anchoring and stuff like that, and SSL bypasses and all that, it goes over. So it still gets inspected, but when it drops to the wire, it still goes over Zscaler. And that's how a lot of corporations are doing that. Did I see? Just read your bio and clicked on file. Follow. I support that. Oh! Nice! Wait, my Twitch bio? Because I'm on several platforms at once, I gotta ask that. Would you drop in Matrix? I gotta see. What did you drop? Microsoft's RDP bug. Like the only infrastructure guy for a company of 300 people and still learning. Oh, yeah, yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's a decently sized company. But you're still in like the SME space, small to medium enterprise. So you don't have, I guess you could say, the flexibility of a lot of the budgets that bigger enterprises do. But you're still, like, in the bigger company, you're still big enough where you need to consider the security aspects of things. Because once you get past, like, once you get past 10 people, you need to start well, hell, I would say even once you get past 2 people, you need to start thinking about security. You should really do it when you have 1 person. But there's different layers of security you have to consider at different levels. But yeah. I mean, you're still big enough that, like, something like Zscaler is definitely considerable. They're just like ticket monkeys, it's sad. Well, it depends. SOC analysts can do quite a bit, depending on the company and what the responsibility they give you and everything. All right, let's see. What did you drop in the Matrix server, Red Fang? Alright, so hold on. I gotta get the audio working. Because I just rebooted this box. And once again, I only have to do that because, well, I pipe my audio to 2 different devices. So you can hear it. Okay, B. Arthur. Interesting. B. Arthur just pops up.
How you're told to...
Wait, why do I not hear anything? Do I have to unplug it and plug it back in like the usual thing?
Update your passwords every so often? Well, with Microsoft, that makes it more likely that you'll be hacked. On purpose. With the Windows Remote Desktop Protocol that allows you to access a PC remotely, it's been found out that you can log in with any password that's been registered to that computer, whether it's the right one right now or one of the old disposed of passwords that you got rid of. But
I hate to say this, but we kind of known this.
you more opportunities to get in, but also more opportunities for nefarious actors. Microsoft, however, says that this security vulnerability bug is actually a feature that they don't allow you to disable or change. Their reasoning is that it allows for remote connection even if a PC has been offline for an...
No, their reasoning is because they have backwards compatibility since the Windows 95 days, and it's built into the original Windows NT system. So the problem is a lot of the quote-unquote features that are actually bugs of Windows that we want to fix have to do with the fact that Microsoft has a supreme leaning, an extreme leaning towards backwards compatibility, which has bit them in the butt, and many times. At a certain point, one can say Apple is a little bit too hard on the cutting off the, old backwards compatibility to make sure new features work. They're on that extreme side of things. Linux is a little bit more conservative in that approach, but they still will at certain points just say, look, we have to kill this old capability with it because it's bad. Windows over here literally still has bugs that trace back to Windows 95. I'm not even joking. So, yeah, not really a shock that that has been a thing that people are discovering. There's been a lot of things that we look at. Like, you still have, issues with, 255 character file path limits. And other things that just do not exist in Linux and Mac land. Or we'll just, for simplification, call it Nix land. When I was an analyst, our own CISO called us ticket. We had a bunch of employees steal a bunch of company data and go make their own company. We had a whole lawsuit over it, so that kind of stuff, worried about. Yeah, that's why we have a lot of DLP in place at where I work, because there definitely is IP, like there is in any company. So you need to have DLP at multiple levels. At the email, Zscaler has DLP capabilities. You also have DLP capabilities in terms of, making sure there's no credit cards and sensitive data stored inside your company files, which is why you actually have, there's many different tools out there. Like, there's, Saffron, I think there's, Baronis, and a couple other companies out there where you can attach them to your file shares locally, and then you can also attach them to your SharePoints and OneDrives, and have them peruse through your entire company directories of files and say, hey, this looks like it has sensitive files in it. You should probably take care of this. That's why entire companies have entire GRC departments that do nothing but go through and help compliance and everything and work alongside legal very often. Governance, risks, and compliance. That's what they stand for. Risk management, stuff like that, yeah. They often do the vuln management, too. Yeah, we're not working from home literally because of that. Wait, what? We're hybrid at work. We can work from home for our things. I think most of the reason why they're justifying still having to come into the office at all is because they want to justify their real estate spend. A lot of the bosses where I work could honestly care less if it wasn't for, like, the higher up leadership. They're like, you doing your job? Okay, cool. Because especially now that, like, where I work at, we're starting to move away from Active Directory and lean on Intune. So we literally can do work anywhere. Between that and everything is ETNA. Yeah. So... Hey, what's up? It's just Dev. I need to learn to implement security policies to protect data extraction from employees. Well, you know, if you're not in the Discord and Matrix servers already, I hang out in there and so do many other people, and we can give you ideas on things that you can look at. I've been helping implement things like that for years. I used to work at an MSP, so I used to help businesses at the smaller level do this. Before I went into enterprise, got the official cybersecurity engineer title, and got paid more money than an MSP could. But yeah, there's multiple ways to do this. Check your DM. I'm searching for a funnier invoice message to send you. I'll get you your money, okay? That's my mod. He does my clipping. I pay him a few dollars. And then you basically, you know, he does the clipping for me. I'd rather pay a person than have AI do this stuff. Even though I use AI, there's certain things I'd rather pay a person for. Microsoft DLP. Well, there's pros and cons to it because you have to consider the spend per user when you're using Purview. Because I know, what is it? Microsoft E5 is the one that has the license with everything. But when you're talking about how much that is for what it gives you, it doesn't do everything. Yeah. Are we not all just using E5? I thought everyone used that. Not everyone. You got to think about small businesses and businesses that need to consider how their spend is. We've had that discussion at work about going to E5 because of the ability to do Purview and all that a little bit better. But there's also a lot of other tools out there that can do better than Purview. But Purview opens up so much more. Plus E5 opens up the API for Teams. So then what you can do is you could say, hook in the Avanon product I talked about before. Hook that into Microsoft Teams and stuff for the DLP component. And then let's say somebody sends a credit card in Teams, that it could actually be tombstoned by Avanon through the API. I've played with it in my home lab. It's really cool. I just couldn't afford keeping E5 on for myself. Gearing up on certs, and I do try hackme/home lab stuff. Seems way more useful. It depends. So let me put it this way. I agree with you. Home labbing definitely helps a lot more. I only got my first cert ever professionally back in October. And that was the CISSP. I didn't get Security Plus. I didn't get A+. I didn't do any of those certs. I went straight to CISSP. I may go for CCSP because work is willing to pay for it. I'm going to try to shoot for that this year. But all of my knowledge I've learned through home labbing and field experience. I have not done any of those CTFs, though. Next year, I may try to go after my OSCP, though. That might be worthwhile to go after. But that's if work is willing to pay for the labs and all that stuff. But I want to look in the Microsoft DLP now. It's okay, but you have to understand, if you're an old business and you have Active Directory servers and things like that, there's a lot of shortcomings that their DLP solution has that you're going to need to cover gaps with. And that's where you need, like, dedicated tools at the email layer, at the browser level, that's where your ZTNA comes into play. Zscaler can do stuff like that. Because, there's DLP that needs to be put on many ways. Are we not all? Yeah. I'm joking. I mostly use premium and F licensing, but all the good stuff is in E5. Yeah, all the good stuff is in E5. That price tag is not good, though. How's it going? It's going good. Long day. I'm blue team, so I just use the SOC pathway and all the blue team stuff. I'm mostly blue team as well. I haven't really done any of that stuff, but I'm dealing more with the administration on the different platforms and all that. Been doing a lot of CrowdStrike cleanup and enhancements. That's a headache. But their API is nice, at least, to do some things. Wish I could show you some of the things I do, but can't. Thoughts on the Zima boards? I think they're all right. When you started home labbing and tinkering, did you learn by trial and error? Yup. I learned networking by reading the pfSense manual and setting up my firewall and breaking my internet at least a few hundred times. How to sanitize a network that I think was infected. That is a very long question that unfortunately you're not giving nearly enough information. But basically, you have to go and audit every single system. All of your platforms you connect into, audit all the user access, the accounts, individual accounts, rotate credentials. You need a forensic audit, basically, at that point. Third CTS, you try out National Cyber League. I think you'd be great at it. I'd rather stick to my home lab and then doing my job and then working on whatever certs work is willing to pay for. Have you used OpenWRT router? Yeah. Long time, back in the day. Nowadays I use pfSense. I've been using pfSense for a little over a decade now. That's my main go-to for my router and everything. I'm spoiled with all the bells and whistles with my IDS, IPS, my block lists, and all of that stuff. Although I've had to reduce a lot of the block lists now because now that you're blocking a lot of the ads, it would block a lot of the functionality on sites because a lot of the websites for news and all that have wised up for the paywall articles and all that. Oh! Microsoft should offer a forefront-style network service to compete with Zscaler. No, they should not. Microsoft is not a networking company. Let's make that very clear. Microsoft is not a networking company. I don't know why, but every time someone says they left their server on, it reminds me of the story that Bezos left a server running and lost money. Yep. Depends on what type of infection. I was gifted a Cisco 3560CX switch. Any beginner-friendly cyber projects I can do utilizing it? I'm not familiar with that one particularly because I don't deal too much with Cisco gear these days, but you know, Cisco is always worthwhile to learn if you have your hands on it. If you go into a company that happens to be using Cisco gear, you know, it's pretty good to learn. Mostly when it comes to, you know, Cisco hardware, it's learning to VLAN, subnet your different things, learn about a lot of your basic networking and all that. There might be some labs that could be of use in that 600-page PDF we have in my Discord server. If you go to the general channel, there's a pinned post by a user, 600-page PDF, 14.5 megabytes, tons of different things out there. Not much cyber can be done with that model, but router or switch is robust in the model. Yep, there you go. Yeah, for a lot of the cybersecurity aspects of things, pfSense is really the easiest go-to for the lowest barrier in terms of cost of entry. Because with pfSense, you can use a spare computer. with an Intel network interface card or two. You want at least 2 NICs on there. More the merrier, because then you can have physical isolation between all the different things and play with that in different ways. You can buy their dedicated appliances, which you have to buy if you're going to deploy them in a business. But if you're just doing it in your own lab, you can deploy it on your own hardware like I've done on a Supermicro super server. But yeah, it's pretty nice. And you can turn on all the bells and whistles you want. Now, bear in mind, pfSense is a lot more granular than a lot of the enterprise firewalls out there. But it does give you the opportunity to learn a lot of the nitty-gritty when it comes to networking that will help prepare you for a lot of other things in terms of networking. And then from there, you can easily pivot to like Juniper, Palo Alto, Cisco, Aruba. Everyone thinks they have to learn Cisco. Cisco is mostly living on their name, but there's a lot of networking hardware competition these days. And Netgate appliances are very nice. Oh, indeed, they are very nice. I'm thinking of actually buying one soon to upgrade my network. Well, not upgrade, but just reclaim my Supermicro super server so I can actually put a couple of disks in it to repurpose it for something else. Your college taught us Cisco. Yeah, well, no offense. I mean, it's college. Colleges tend to just teach you the concepts, but you don't necessarily need to go to college to learn to be in this field. Case in point. Hi, my name's Chief Geek 3D. I didn't go to college for any of this. Technically, I went to college, but it was ITT, and my loans got forgiven because that was a BS school. Go look up the reviews of anyone saying they couldn't get it a career. I was already working in tech when I got that degree. My family was just archaic in their thinking of, oh, well, you need to go get a degree. You know, you'll be nothing without a degree, and we can't help support you if you're not going to go get an education. Well, joke's on them. My education in electrical, to be an electrician, has paid off way more than the college did. Yeah, struggling to find IT work after college. Yep, there's a lot of people saying that, but also this market is very weird right now. I've talked about this before, not to get on a political tangent. Trump has really caused a lot of uncertainty in the market right now. I don't care if you're Democrat. I don't care if you're Republican. I am neither. I'm just going to tell it to you straight. I hold no sacred cows. His whole tariff war has caused a lot of uncertainty for businesses that they don't know how to predict their future profitability and future spend. So a lot of companies have actually been freezing their hiring because they have a lot of uncertainty. And unfortunately, a lot of companies, specific to the U.S., a lot of companies, they look at IT and cyber as a spend rather than an investment. Unfortunately, the companies that usually look at cybersecurity as an investment to protect their assets usually are the ones that had a cyber incident and don't learn until after they get woken up by an event. But yeah. So, it's a really weird market right now for tech. During the whole pandemic, it was a lot easier to get a job. It was so easy to jump. I jumped several times, making more money along each job. In the series of Tulsa King, he mentioned that college is just to show that you will show up. Yeah. IT is a cost center, and leadership thinks AI can take it over, so they don't want to invest further. Boy, are they so wrong. Like, here's the thing. Don't get me wrong. I'm not one of those naysayers that's like, AI will never do crap. I am not going to be one of those people. But I think people are overselling the promises of AI. Maybe one day it could reach those sci-fi proportions of what they're expecting it to be. But as of right now, it's an assistive tool. And if you're using it as anything more than just an assistive tool, then you're just a tool. I think one of the biggest problems that I've been seeing now with a lot of people getting into tech is they're using ChatGPT and all these other LLMs as a crutch rather than as an assistive tool. And I've been seeing how it's been killing some of these people's ability to think. Their ability to have a pure logical cognitive thought of their own has, I think, decreased, because it's one thing for you to go back and forth with ChatGPT and be like, hey, I need to reformulate this sentence, or I can't quite figure out the logic for this snippet of code. Like, let me put it this way. For those of you that have been following me for a few years now, you know that I only started teaching myself about Python about 3 years ago. You can have ChatGPT write you Python code, but it will do a horrible job in many ways, shapes, and form. Because you have to understand good coding practices. Like, are you going to modularize your code? And then let's say you terraform. How do you modularize that terraform? And then, like, it will also, like, hard code credentials and stuff. Like, you have to know what you're ultimately looking for. You know, pseudocode, stuff like that. Some good resources to start learning cybersec? Yeah. My Discord and Matrix servers. Over in the Discord server I have, there's a 600-page PDF that I've recommended to a lot of people that another user shared. I have that post pinned. It's 14.5 megabyte PDF, 600 pages with tons of different virtual labs that someone shared. It's a great thing. AI is going to help AI to become SAI, super AI. Things will speed up soon, in my opinion. The problem with AI, as people have it, and I hate the fact that they call it AI, because it's really just what it always has been for the past few years. Machine learning and large language models. AI in the true form of what we're thinking of hasn't really come about yet. Ultimately, garbage in, garbage out. That principle has remained the same. And if you're going to train your AI, LLM, machine learning, whatever, on garbage data, you're going to get garbage results. Leadership doesn't understand the difference between a language-based AI and a true general AI. Absolutely. And I think that, like, a lot of what AI is today is the buzzword hype that we had of a few years ago of blockchain. Do you remember when blockchain was the hot shit and everyone's like, well, we got to do everything on the blockchain? And you had people like me going around like saying, don't get me wrong, the blockchain is an amazing technology. It has its absolute usefulness in certain areas, but it is not a silver bullet technology. In many cases, it complicates what you're trying to do. Like, I know there was a dude, there's someone on here on TikTok that wanted to make blockchain-based DNS. And I'm like, no, that really wouldn't work. And they argue with me, like, and I'm like, no, that won't work. You get all these, like, crypto bros that are like, well, you know, if we just put it on blockchain, and they want to monetize, like, every different technology out there, and I'm like, you realize you're overcomplicating things that don't need to be complicated, and you don't understand the base layer of how the internet operates today. If you understand how the internet operates today, and you understand we're basically running on 1970s technology in many cases, you realize how fragile the internet is as it is, and then to completely upend a lot of that would break a lot of the infrastructure we rely on today. Like, it blows people's minds when I explain to them a lot of medical hardware is still using Windows from the 2000s. Windows CE. And there was that whole issue of, like, when CE was losing support or something like that. Can't remember the specifics, but I remember when people were freaking out about that. And they're like, where is it? I'm like, well, EKGs, not sonar, the sound-based technology, like you use it to view a womb and all that when a woman's pregnant. Ultrasound, thank you. I couldn't remember the name for some reason. Like, all of these machines, MRIs, like, you'd be surprised how much of that is actually running on Windows CE from 10, 20, 30 years ago. And they don't want to upgrade these machines because they are tens, hundreds, sometimes millions of dollars. And a lot of people are waking up to the reality of why we should be moving to open architectures and open source software like Linux and RISC-V, because a lot of those old hardware vendors don't exist anymore. It's, amazing. Plus ATM and a lot of banks, they still use WinXP and a lot of the computers. Yep, they still do. They're still paying for Microsoft to support their old Windows XP machines or Windows Embedded. Like spaghetti, throw everything and see what sticks. Yep. Watch your video on biometrics for authentication. It's crazy how behind the U.S. regulations are. Uh-huh. Welcome to why I say that America is a third world country wearing a Gucci belt, which is made in China. Yeah, it blows people's minds when I tell them just how far behind a lot of the U.S. is in terms of technology, especially in fintech, financial technology. Like, I had to explain to people when I was in Europe, in Portugal, why PayPal, Venmo, and all these companies exist. Because they couldn't really quite understand it. And I'm like, well, you have to understand. In Europe, a lot of you have SEPA. You have a system in a lot of Europe. I know it's not everywhere. But in the Eurozone, you can easily transfer money between banks. There's a lot of banks that offer the ability for you to create virtual cards that are single use, that create a new credit card number every time you use it, which is something that is not well known to the U.S. banking system. And you have to layer it on with services like privacy.com. Not affiliated, just mentioning them. I can go to them another time. They're a decent service, don't get me wrong. But I would like to see that capability of virtual credit cards being applied to credit cards. And I would also like to see checks to just, shing. I want checks to disappear. I want them to disappear. The whole ACH system needs to go bye-bye. It's horrible. The only reason that a lot of these fintech companies actually exist in the American economy is to fix the shortcomings that are in the United States banking system. Now, there are a lot of credit unions that are trying to make up a lot of the gaps up there, but credit unions can only do so much. I will still tell you to always go for a credit union over a bank whenever possible. And tap feature on credit card and debit cards. We have that now in the U.S., but that's after many years. We only got chip and pin, I think. Let me see. My ex-girlfriend was British, and that was in my, mid-20s, and we were talking about it then. I didn't have chip and pin. I remember she came over when I was, 25, and she couldn't figure out how to do the swipe of the card with the magnetic stripe. Because she went to go, pay for gas one day when we were making a long road trip. And she's like, how does this operate? I took her card, shoved it in, and then pulled it out. And she's like, what? And I'm like, yeah. She's like, where do I put my pin? You don't. That's why I love crypto. Well, the whole idea of cryptocurrency was as a result of And I'm going to have another YouTube video eventually coming out about this. I have the script written for it. I just haven't gotten to running a lot of my videos because I've been busy, but I'm going to give myself a couple days off so that I can catch up on things and relax. But cryptocurrency originally was designed to upend the financial system as we know it, not these crypto bros that are somehow using cryptocurrency to get rich in dollars. The whole concept of y'all are valuing cryptocurrency in terms of dollars to make dollars from the digital currency that was designed to displace the financial system that collapsed in 2009 and left us broke is kind of perverting the entire idea of why cryptocurrency was created in the first place. Yeah. And if anyone disputes me on that, you've never read the Bitcoin white papers. It actually shocks me how many people talk about cryptocurrency, but have never read the Bitcoin white papers. The true original idea of Bitcoin, the whole premise around Satoshi Nakamoto, was actually an admirable one. But then the crypto bros came, made a bunch of meme coins, and made a bunch of money off of it. Now, cryptocurrency is nothing more than filled with a bunch of fraudsters and scammers, and there are some legitimate projects out there, but it's a sad state from what it used to be. It's sad. What do I do if I summon rats in PC because I installed Gen 2? Wait, what? We need to bring back Bell Labs. Well, Bell Labs still exists. Do you know what Bell Labs is? AT&T. No joke. Go look at their pedigree. Go look at how AT&T started. Because they're afraid of change and the cost, plus they get used to it, and I'm in the XP. And to that, my friend, I agree with you 100%. AT&T moment, yeah. Oh, I'm in the middle of, I'm not a fan of AT&T. I really am not. Crypto, what started as a great idea became a meme as a fraud. That's very unfortunate. Yep. You've got the Logan Pauls, the Hawk Tuas, the Elon Musks. Like, the whole idea of Dogecoin, for those of you that are not aware, the idea of Dogecoin was never to be rich. The premise that this was going to ever be worth 1/100th of a penny was ludicrous to us. It absolutely was. Dogecoin was the original meme coin in the original intention that we had of memes. It was funny. We were just effing around with this stuff, just being like, funny money. Look. You know, it was meant to be like the intro cryptocurrency project to get you to understand cryptocurrency, and you could just, you know, have fun with it. Stick around with it. And then people took it seriously as an investing vehicle. And I remember when that happened. I remember when it happened to hit like 10 or 15 cents, and I forgot that I had like some Dogecoin from my dicking around days with it. And I made a couple $1,000s. Don't get me wrong. But that wasn't why I was doing it. I was doing it because it's funny. Much currency, very wow. Most of y'all that are, you know, going after Dogecoin don't even know how the Dogecoin meme started. It was literally made as a joke in the original intention of don't take this seriously. Like, we're not going to get rich here. And then somehow meme coins turned into this thing of, oh, we'll actually make money off of it. I don't understand it. I don't know why people took it seriously. A meme is a meme. It was meant to be a joke. AT&T lost the whole last tower and fiber, and it's still down. Sounds about right. He's a Elgato Stream Deck BTW. A random question because Elgato is making a virtual Stream Deck for PC now. Yeah, I use 2 Stream Decks. I got the XL one over here with all my sounds, you know.
Move, bitch, get out the way.
Then I got my one with my dials over here, so I can control my lighting and everything. Yeah, see? I can do that. And, it also controls my scenes. Yeah, so I got 2 Stream Decks over here. I like them. Yitz, the boyfriend, he's got the Stream Deck pedal. I also have a mini Stream Deck somewhere. Yeah. I like it. It's alright. I don't know if I'm going to do the virtual one because the issue is I need physical buttons and I have too many screens up. Now, I do know there is a Stream Deck app you can put on your phone to do the same thing, but for the same reasons, I don't want to have a phone out to do the same thing. Yeah, my friend made 10K off of it. Yeah. I've made, you know, don't get me wrong, I've made money on meme coins. But every time I've done it, I've always looked at it like, this shouldn't work. And to be fair, I never treated it seriously. I treated meme coins the same way as going to Vegas, dropping a few quarters in a machine and pulling a lever. There is no fundamentals to it. It's BS. Now there are meme coin rug pullers. Oh yeah, absolutely. They're making a virtual one now. It's all on screen. I'll send a link in Discord if you want to check it out. You can send it to me. I'll check it out, but I like my physical buttons. I like the touchy. You know. Yeah, physical sounds better anyway. Well, it's just nice because, like, I have these buttons out here, and I can do all these things. Who brought me the dough? Hey, DJ Spartacus, thank you for the 100 biddies. But yeah, man. Oh, nothing much. Just chilling here. Oh yeah, I didn't show you all the radio equipment that came in. Barack, if you had thumbs, I would ask you to hand me the equipment. My dog's right there. Alright, let me show you what I got. Buddy, can you move? I love you, buddy, but that's not what I wanted. You're going to get yourself wrapped up in that. Would you move? Move. So we got some equipment in. Ugh. Y'all want to guess what's in this big heavy box? You can probably see it on there. You're hitting your first DEF CON this year. Looking forward to meeting you. Nice. If you're in the Discord server, I might announce how you can find me. I'm going to try to do a meetup or something. I should be out there. Things are still up in the air, but it's like 80% likely I'll be out there. I'm doing some house repairs. Yeah. But, I may have a Meshtastic group for us to chat over on locally. If you don't have a Meshtastic device, you should. I might be out on GMRS over there. I don't think I'll use my ham because I don't want to give out my call sign. I might do a DMR talk group, though, for digital mobile radio, because I now have a digital handset. But there'll be options. But, yeah, I might set up a things that we can meet up somewhere at a bar, hang out, chat, chill, show each other's projects off. No, that's not an innuendo. But yeah, this guy over here is the latest piece of equipment that came in for my ham shack. I still got to get the antennas installed. I was trying to figure out how to install the going solo, so I need to find people to go with and hang out with. So when you go there's a thing at DEF CON to be aware of. It's called the Lonely Hackers Club. It is literally for people like you. First timers to DEF CON should go there. Like, don't get me wrong. If you run into me, you can say hi. I'll chat with you a little bit, but I'm not trying to be a dick and say, like, you need to go out and explore on your own. You do. Because I did the same thing. Colonel did the same thing to me. Colonel Dump, if you're not familiar with him, he's, hung out with me. He did the same thing to me. Like, look, it's your first DEF CON. Go out there, explore your own thing. We'll meet up later, kind of deal. Lonely Hackers Club is, or Lonely Hackers Group, or whatever the hell it's called. Basically, it's a room in DEF CON that's for other people to meet up and make friends there. And the friends you'll make at DEF CON, whether it's at LineCon, Lonely Hackers Club, or just chilling out in any of the talks or anything, those may end up being your buddies for many years. Some of my friends that I have in the Discord now, I've met them in person at DEF CON, and then we just chill out ever since then. So yeah, definitely do that. I'm planning on hopefully being at B-Sides Las Vegas as well. Again, things are up in the air. I'm not a dick. I mean, I'm an asshole, but I'm not a dick. But, you can come say hi. Unless I'm in the middle of something, I will usually give you attention. If I'm in the middle of something, I will, try to, at least be polite and say, like, hey, look, it's nice meeting you. Kind of in the middle of something. Like, there's been, a couple times people come up to me and it's like, hey, I'm trying to do a little project or something like that. But, that's just how it is. But I'm there to learn. I'm there to network and chill. But this box right here, she's heavy. So what this is, if I can pull it out, giggity. Woo! I've had shits with less effort than that. Anyway. Ooh. This is a power supply. This is a 50 amp, 13.8 volt linear power supply for my ham radio. I got a Yaesu one because I was thinking about getting a cheaper one, but then I was like, yeah, that's probably going to bite me in the butt. So it's got the poles over here. It's got a, pull this off. Look at that. This is a chonker. Oh, I could curl this and get a workout. No joke. That's some heft in there. Oh, I just smacked myself in the face. But yeah, over here you've got 25 amp capability with these little connections over here, and then you've got a cigarette lighter over here. So the reason why I like that is my car radio, I can at least power that up because I'm gonna have a dedicated computer over there for the ham shack for chirp and stuff, so I can program that. And then you've got these little clamps over here for 6 amps connection. That'll be great because then I can put the ham radio over on these poles over here. Wait, these are banana plugs in them. I should crimp some banana plugs on. Make it a nice snug connection. The resource files are in the general chat and Discord. Check the pin files. And then what I'm going to do to for this is where I'm going to put the antenna tuner. I'll show you the antenna tuner in a second. And the SWR meter, at least the light for it, when I get that. But, yep, this is the power supply for the ham radio. The Yaesu FP 1030A. I think this is a 50 amp power supply. Well, I'm starting to get the ham gear. I probably won't have it installed altogether until like mid-June, like I was saying. Things are all coming together. I kind of effed up and I bought the cables, as I'll show you in a second. But I bought them for 25 feet and I totally miscalculated because the fact of the matter is, well, my issue is it's near a tree. And, with my VHF, UHF, I want to have it away from a tree, so I may have to wrap it around the house, to get as far away and put it on the back. So you planning DIY antenna or buy one? Oh, I got it. I got my, I bought antennas. So I showed them on the last stream. I got a Diamond Connection X300 for VHF, UHF, and then I got a Comet, I want to say CHA or CMA 250 HD, about a 30-foot HF antenna. And then I got a guy wire kit for the HF antenna. I have a guy coming next week who does TV antenna installations, and he's going to put some poles on the back of my house because I don't want to get on my roof, okay? I'm not a roofer. I will fall, and I can't sue myself if I fall. So I'm just trying to get it close to the roof line that I can just get on a ladder and pull them up. I will have to buy a bigger ladder because my tallest ladder is like 16 feet or so, or like, no, 14 or whatever. I need to get like a proper 24-foot extension ladder. So I'm probably going to pick up one of those, and then I'm going to set it up. And then the cool thing is, because of where the antenna is going to be, it's near where my ground rods already are. So I just got to run, 6-gauge wire to both of them, bond it to the mast, and do the thing. So that should be, a decent experience. Now, the guy wire is going to be interesting because it's probably going to be on the edge of my house, and there's going to be 3 guy wires coming out. But yeah. So that'll be an interesting endeavor. But I've already been doing VHF, UHF, so now this will be HF that'll be interesting to learn. So, yeah, that's the first piece of the, well, I've already shown some of the other pieces. Like, I've got my, transceiver that I'm planning to use. If you want to see that, let me know. I can pull that out. It's just in the, booth over there. So, for those of you that don't know, this behind me isn't the wall. Well, it is a wall, but there's a. Did I just knock something? But there's a window over here. I don't know if you can see. Damn it. There's a window over here, and that's the recording booth. Because during COVID, we couldn't do anything, so my friends and I used to hang out at my place, and we'd spit. It was a little fun hobby to do some, music, rap, and all that. That's why I have the sound setup that I do. This was like supposed to be the producer booth. It was the producer booth. I had Fruity Loops on the Windows box for a while. My buddy was a beat maker and stuff. And then we just mess around and go back and forth. Sometimes do a cipher. Ugh. Okay. That's the power supply. So, I like to, whenever possible, get open source, as you know. So this is the antenna tuner I found that's relatively inexpensive. A guy from work who's been doing radio for 20 years told me I should probably look at getting this for myself. This is an ATU 100 HF auto tuner. So, light VNA device. What's a light VNA device? So this, he told me, is at least a good starter for my antenna tuner. It's a open source little guy. This set me back about $80, so not too expensive for an antenna tuner. You probably can get better ones out there, but this is just to, you know, start out. I can always upgrade. Haven't turned this on yet, but you have your DC power connection over there for power, antenna, transmission. Now, the interesting thing is you also have the ability to connect your antenna over here if, you know, you're doing your own antenna. And you can just plug that in that way. Wait. Does this have holes or... That's just straight banana plugs. Why can I unscrew this? That's weird. I was expecting there to be like holes for you to clamp it down, or do you just wrap your wire? Oh yeah, I see. You just wrap your wire around that, and then you can yeah. So that's the antenna tuner. That'll be fun to play with. Little open source device. Like I said, set me back about 80 or 90 bucks. They have another version of that that has a built-in battery. I didn't see the point of that. There's a difference between balance and unbalanced lines, different resistance values. Okay. Difference between tuning 50 ohms and 270 ohms. Gotcha. But yeah, I didn't see the point in getting the tuner that had a battery built into it because I'm not making this unit portable over here. Now, next year when I do a portable field station, hopefully, I'm going to build another setup with that. I'm going to try to locate like a Dell or Panasonic tough laptop, or maybe even a Lenovo that's used secondhand. Slap Linux on that, put Andy's Ham Radio Linux on it, on top of Pop OS with the virtual machine for when I need Windows, and get myself a mobile ham unit for that. Then I'll look at, you know, battery operated things a little bit more, because that'll be interesting to go to DEF CON one year and do HF on. See if I can make contacts out there that way. Of course, we've got plenty of cable, so I am planning to run LM400. This is a 25-foot cable. Now, what I was thinking I'm going to do is run 25 feet until it goes outside. And then that'll go into my lightning arrestor. I'll have an additional ground to bond to for that. And then from there, it's going to get probably another 50 or 75 feet, or maybe 75 and 100 feet. I got to do the measurement once the mount is up there of another LM400. That's where I messed up because I thought it was going to be 25 and 25, relatively short run. And then I realized, oh crap, where I'm planning to position it, that ain't gonna work. Cause damn tree. I could cut the tree down, but expensive. So, LM400, like, look how thick this cable is. Like, that's almost half an inch thick. I think it's 0.405 inches, if I recall correctly. That's how thick that cable is. It's kind of stiff, too. Giggity. Like, I was even going to use it for the short runs. So, like, this short run would be from my transceiver to the tuner to the SWR meter. I haven't gotten the SWR meter yet. Now, I'm gonna get a better keyer eventually. I definitely cut the tree. There's cables are expensive. Yeah, but that entails dealing with the neighbor. And, I kind of don't want to do that. Maybe next year. So I did buy an inexpensive little keyer For those of you not aware, this is going to allow me to do CW, continuous wave, aka Morse code. So I picked up this little inexpensive one. I found this on Amazon. It's the aux cable for it. I'll eventually get a better one, but I figured this is a good one to start with. I'll have to adjust the throw on it. Put the antenna in the tree. Long wire vertical or inverted L would be great. Yeah. But I wanted to start with a dipole. Once I get the Chameleon MPOS 2.0, you know why ham radio is called ham radio? Yeah, it used to be a pejorative term from the professional radio people and all that. I can't remember what the specifics were, but yeah. So yeah, I just got myself a basic straight key to start with. This will be fun to at least start learning CW and teach myself Morse code, which is really good in extreme situations when you only have 150 hertz available. How's the tiny laptop doing? Any upgrades on it? No, I haven't done the upgrades yet. I'm hoping to sit down over this weekend and finally get to it. I've just been so busy and burned out from work and working on the ham radio stuff a little bit more. It's right here. I just need to crack it open, install the Wi-Fi antenna in the better position that I think will work for it, and reroute some stuff. I just need a break from, like, all the stuff I've been doing at work. I told my boss I'm a little bit burned out from everything going on, which is why, yeah. The other thing you could do is an inverted V antenna. Look up a G5RV antenna. That's what I used. Yeah, I looked at doing stuff like that. I was just starting to do things that are easy and basic to start with, and I thought a dipole would be really easy to start with, because I'm just getting started with HF. There's nothing stopping me from changing antennas down the road. Just don't forget to check light VNA if you ever buy a pro antenna. I'll have to check that out. See where your antennas shine the most. Well, have you ever checked out Andy's Ham Radio Linux? It's got a suite of all these different things. Inverted V is a dipole, just higher feed point. Yeah. The issue that I have is my house has aluminum on the side. So that messes up quite a bit of my prospects for different things. Particularly because mounting is kind of hard to find where the studs are and stuff, but yeah. Oh yeah, so I got this to rest my my keyer on. So this is the pad I'm gonna put my keyer on, and it's got Morse code built into the little list over here. So that way I have an immediate reference right there as I start playing with it, which I think will come in handy. And it's on a nice metal plate. How many people in the world know Morse code nowadays? You'd be surprised. I come across quite a few people in Morse code. When I've been trying to connect to a few repeaters and talk to different people, there were people that actually were hitting me back in Morse code, and I couldn't understand them. So that's what makes me want to understand it. There's thousands of people doing it, and it's still one of the most reliable ways to transmit messages, because when you do voice audio, you need, like, what is it? 6 kilohertz of bandwidth, whereas with CW you only need 150 hertz. It's just on or off. That's it. So there's quite a few people doing it. I got myself a cheap little inexpensive speaker for the transceiver, because the transceiver's got a speaker that's built in, but it's at the top. I'd rather have thrown at me. Are Morse code international, or they have different types? I think they're international. But I'm looking. I have my here, I'll show you the laptop I'll be using for ham. One second. Oh, also, there's ham-related artwork all around the house now. There was a guy giving out free prints at Hamfest. Really chill dude. He gave me a crap ton of stickers, so I'm probably gonna give those out at DEF CON. Check that out. I'm gonna put that up in the booth. That was nice, you know, nice little free prints. So I just put them in a frame, and I'm gonna hang that one up in the booth soon. I got like 3 other prints. So I got another one down here, and I put 2 up in my room. I figured it'd be nice because I don't have too much artwork around the house, and it felt kind of bare. So I'm like, shit, nice free prints, and all I have to do is pay for a couple frames. I think about like $25 for four frames, and yeah. I recently discovered that sign language is not international, a bunch of different types. That's why I'm asking about Morse code. I'll check in a second. This is one of my old laptops that was given to me. Back when I did like dental IT and all that, you need a decently powerful laptop. This used to power an intraoral scanner, and then I completely wiped the hard drive. And right now it has Windows on it, as you can see. But I'm gonna wipe it and put Linux on it. But this little MSI laptop is way overpowered for ham radio. The reason why I'm picking it for the ham radio laptop was nice big screen, and it's already well suited to be a desktop. Like, this is overkill. I think like this has this has a NVIDIA GTX 980 with G-Sync, Core i7. I want to say like a 5th gen in here. Like, this is a gaming laptop. But I think it's perfectly suited for ham radio stuff. I mean, you could use more than that. What distro do I use? I usually use Pop! OS. The battery in here probably could be replaced, but I think it's good enough for my use cases. And I've got Ethernet in the recording booth, so it's just going to be jacked in with Ethernet. I'm barely going to need... Oh, there's a CD drive in there. That's nice. I got a CD drive. I forgot that I have a device in here that actually has a CD drive. They don't even offer cases with 5 1/4 anymore. Do they? I haven't really seen any computer cases with a 5 1/4 anymore. And then, of course, for those of y'all that haven't seen it already, That's the transceiver I went with. The Yaesu FT991A. Definitely was a chunk of change. I got it off for like close to 10% off when I was at Hamvention, which is why I pulled the trigger on it, because I've been eyeing this specific one for a while, at least as a starter base station. Starter. Because it can do HF, VHF, and UHF. Whereas I would have to have two separate radios. Eventually I'll have two separate radios to dedicate to do different things, but this looked like it did everything I needed to start out with. And Yaesu is a pretty reputable brand. I got a Yaesu power supply, a Yaesu base station. I just don't have any Yaesu handhelds. Though I hear good things about them. Eventually I'll probably get one, but yeah. How come on TikTok you guys can make it so we can do screen enlargement zoom, but not on YouTube, not? That's probably an app limitation more so than a me limitation. Oh yeah, and someone was asking me, how do I like Doom Dark Ages? I love Doom Dark Ages. It's pretty fun. Some of the mechanics are weird, though. I don't know, I grew up with, like, old Doom, so, like, I'm still not used to, like, the Doom of today. Doom. But yeah, my antennas are upstairs. No reason bringing those down. But yeah, Boomer Doom. But yeah, I am totally looking forward to getting my ham set up. Though, with any luck, I won't have to replace my ham equipment or even get new ham equipment for quite some time. If I do get new ham equipment, it'll probably be for a portable setup. And I probably could spend a lot less money than I did, to be honest. This is definitely a decent investment I have put in. I'm not going to lie. Because you got to get the power supply. You got to get the base station. You got to get the cables. You got to get the antennas. You got to get the antenna tuner if you're doing HF. Ideally, you want to get an SWR meter, which I ordered that, and that's coming in a few days, and yeah. But I think it'll be worth it in the end. I think so, personally. At least for my fun and enjoyment. And then there'll be plenty of content that I get to share with all of you about potentially sending email over ham. I'm trying to set up things that in case, you know, there's an SHTF situation, go DIY because their tools because the expenses go sky high. Yeah, but this is just my start into ham, and I still haven't gotten my general license yet. That's on my to-do list. This weekend, while I have time off from work, I'm going to study for my general ham license, and hopefully next weekend I can start, I can take the actual test. There's a place nearby that lets me do that. Just got to drive to it. Because remember, I've only, I started with getting into radio through ADSB and Meshtastic. So, ham is a relatively new thing to me, especially because one of my coworkers was one of the people that pushed me into doing it. It's been fun. And I got too many handsets. Can I say something on YouTube so they can fix it? I mean, it's Google. I still haven't fixed a lot of things. But eventually I'll go DIY as I understand it more. Right now, I'm trying to understand how all of this works more so, so I can start doing all of my own DIY stuff. Look, we also got to start somewhere. So, yeah. Eventually, we'll get to be making a bit more antennas and antenna content, and maybe when I get my new gutters installed, I can turn them into an antenna. I've seen people do it. There have been people that have turned their gutters into an antenna. It's kind of interesting to see that. But right now, it's more just RTL SDR. Yeah, I've got SDR. There's an SDR right here. I will be attaching that to the ham laptop. There's going to be a lot of radio-specific content once I get the ham shack set up. Trust me. Things will be happening. And then eventually what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a nice RTL or ADS-B. And there's going to be a few antennas running outside from this room. I first want to start with the VHF, UHF, and then all that. And because those are the big antennas. And then I can move on to the other antennas. So, yeah. But, yeah, I started with ADS-B using an RTL SDR years ago. It was a fun little project. Don't get me wrong. And I do hold the idea that people should actually start learning how, they should get into, let me restart the words here. They should get more into ham radio and amateur radio as a whole, because a lot of the concepts do translate over into networking as a whole. Yes, we're going to be playing Doom Dark Ages right now. Chief need to kill things. If I had known a lot about amateur radio back in the day, I would have actually done Wi-Fi totally different than I did for many years, because it redefined how I actually approached a lot of radio and stuff. It's because of my amateur radio and understanding that I was able to actually come up with ideas to improve the Wi-Fi here. So hopefully that mini laptop will do great, because I want to get that working for DEF CON. I'm hoping to get around to it this weekend. If not, I will try to take care of it throughout next weekend. It's on my list. Wait, what? I don't know why it had an error. Oh, I know why. I was like, what? How did it not have VRAM? I'm like, yeah, it totally has VRAM in there. I forgot there was an LLM running from the last stream. The radio wave world is very interesting indeed. What got me interested into it was just the RC car. That was when I was just a child. Oh yeah, learning with the crystals and how the different channels work and all that. Yeah, radio RC is really interesting. There were plenty of those people when I was at Hamvention. I'm looking forward to being at Hamvention next year. Next year, I'm not bringing my laptop with me to Hamvention. I didn't know what to expect, so I brought my laptop. Next year, if anything, I'm bringing the same backpack. I brought that to DEF CON and a lot of things. It's got a hydration pack, and it holds my radios and all that. That's great. But I'm also bringing a cart, because I had to make several trips back to the car with different things, just for the haul that I got of antennas, of merch, of books, and all that stuff. Is web dev doomed? I'm a junior in the field. No. People who are not using LLMs and all that as assistive tools are doomed. Because the reality is, like, look, you have all these people that got on their ethical high horses when it came to all this technology. Oh, well, it's stealing from other people. And my argument was, that may be true or not, but the cat's out of the bag, and people are already doing it. Hold on. And this runs, wow, this runs subpar on Linux, unfortunately. Dude, you're in the cutscene! And a lot of people have complained about the performance early on. And for your information, Doom is one of the games that actually always has worked on Linux. They've had a native version. Wait, didn't I finish this level, or was this a new one? Hold on. I think so. And remember, I'm only running on a 3070. Cheaper, better options for the Flipper Zero. Yeah, I was on a different... Okay. There's plenty of options for a cheaper Flipper Zero. It just comes down to... The novelty of the Flipper Zero is more just how compact it is as a device. But you can do everything of those features in its own individual component. Each of the pieces is like 15, 20 bucks. Now, in terms of portability, yeah, Flipper Zero is pretty easy. But you can redo the same thing with different components easily.
Are you seeing anything?
Back to what I was saying about web dev being doomed. No, it's not really doomed. You're still going to have to know how to code and design and all that. What's going to be doomed are the people that aren't using LLMs, machine learning and all that to be used as assistive tools. Need to build a gaming PC under 500? Any tips? That's a tight budget these days. I'm just being completely honest. You may want to look at like the second-hand market if you're in the $500 range. GPU alone can eat up like half your cost. Yeah, at $500, maybe getting a console, but I don't like consoles. I'm a keyboard player. So what is that thing in his chest? Do you play any games on your phone? No. I use my phone for email and my phone's used for comms. Oh yeah, the Steam Deck is a great choice for 500. Yeah, you're right. Completely forgot about that. I have a i5 13400F and GTX 970. Man, it's bad combo. Looking at for RTX 3050 just for 12 gigabyte, or I don't know much about. No, or should I go for 4060? At this point, I'd probably go for the 4060 because 3000 series are hard to find enough, and they're trying to produce more of the 5000. I don't know much about Steam Decks. Does it have to always be on Wi-Fi? Well, it doesn't always have to be on Wi-Fi. You can turn the Wi-Fi off. But you will need to be connected to Wi-Fi when you're doing, obviously, online gaming and stuff like that. You don't need Wi-Fi. Do you think the makers run off Linux?
Sound the alarm. Prepare for battle.
King Novik, there is an urgent call from the Creed Maker.
Lord Novik, a large horde is heading toward your position.
Well, no shit, Sherlock.
Please send forces immediately to ensure our safety.
Thank you, Bishop Creed.
Kind of weird how, like, one dude messes up their whole day. I've played offline on my Steam Deck. Yeah, I mean, it's a Linux box, so I think you just need to connect it to Steam once in a while just to check the DMR and stuff.
It's a massive
Force. 3 legions word.
The hangar is blockaded, sire. No one can get in or out.
Okay, let's see. Where do we gotta go?
All Atlas to defensive positions.
Marking the Hellgates now.
Okay, I guess we gotta go through here. Energy nodes. Throw 5 or shoot, blue energy nodes activate machine. The machine will stay active.
The Creed ship hasn't moved outside the combat zone. Energy production
Okay.
is down because of the war.
So in my case, should I go through 6012 gigabyte or 4068 gigabyte? You should be fine with the 4068 gigabyte. More RAM only matters if you're doing larger resolutions and textures and all that stuff. I mean, I'm running a 3070, and I think I only have 8 gigabytes of RAM, so... Ooh, I get new boom boom. Oh, not new boom boom. I get to smash. Flail strikes deal additional damage to metal armor shields. On contact, the flail will also generate a damaging blast that affects nearby enemies. Recharge is slower than the power gauntlet. In the dossier anytime, okay. Ooh, I like. Woo! Trying to remember, how do I, oh, God. There we go. Give me that health. Shit. The hell just hit me? Eat shit and die. Back to your little hellgate.
Some damage. Blair, we need time to repair them before we can clear a path for the lifeboats.
There are 4 more
No upgrades. This is definitely a weird mechanic out of all the Doom games I've played. Yeah. It's like the gameplay is interesting aspect of this game. Get me wrong. But it's just like so different than all the other Doom games I've had that, I mean, kudos for them for taking a different step on things, but woo! I've noticed on TikTok that people think Steam Deck works as the PlayStation Portal. They think it only streams from your desktop or cloud gaming. Yeah, I don't know why people think that when it's an overall gaming computer. It's no different than, running off of, this desktop here. Hey, buddy. Nice. All right. Kaboom. Good God. Took a hit there. Those got some power behind them, but they're kind of weak overall, if you hit them right. It is kind of jerky, though. Let me see. If I turn it on low, how's that going to do? Native anti-aliasing. If we turn this to performance, that might work a little bit better. Kali Linux? No. Why does everyone go like Kali Linux? No, it's not Kali Linux. AMD FSR, NVIDIA DLSS. Is DLSS going to work a little bit better? For some reason, I was getting better with XESS. But it also seems to be kind of hit or miss. I also may have to just see if I can upgrade the driver. Ah, smooth. XESS works best on Intel hardware. Yeah, kind of figured as much. I'm just trying to figure out. It's on low. I just don't know why. It's like still kind of jerky, but maybe it just doesn't like my hardware. Could also be the Proton version. Well, now it seems to be smoothing out a little bit. Sort of. Okay. Think we got it a little bit better now. Eat shit and die, motherfucker. Let's get some armor over here. Let's clear up these areas. Yeah, I think we finally found a nice sweet spot for this. There's just a little bit of a jerk here and there, but I think we're good. Leader detected. Break morale to disable a field. Future leader demon that is shielded until the morale meter. Morale is depleted by killing demons. Okay. Oh, you look pretty. Pretty dead. Shit. Come on. Come here, big boy. Give me that arm. Shit. No, we'll just save that life sigil for later. A cyber demon. Oh, come on. I hit them with the shield. Damn it. Turn dynamic preemption to full. Wait, where's that? Wait, how did I accidentally hit escape? Kernel grub. Oh. I don't think I have that yet. I gotta figure out the Pop OS kernel side of things. Because I know there was some tweaks they talked about. If that's what you're talking about. Yeah, well, I'm not going to go into the menu right now. I'll have to remember to do that later if somebody wants to remind me in the Discord or Matrix. God damn it. Because I think I only have one life sigil. If I recall. No, I've got two. I could do that, but I'm not going to. Okay, let's see. Oh, nice. Gold, there be gold. Ooh, a secret area. Okay, so how do I do this? Alright, let's see. 1 second. Let's see. Or you can tweak it to full echo. Hold on. Let's see something. Kernel. Debug. No. Hold on. Trying to figure this out. Pop OS. Is it echo full? Okay, I was doing a T. I mean a pipe. Doesn't look like that folder exists, but we will see. Oh, it does exist. It's just I didn't have permission. If this works, I can make it a boot time option. Kind of weird how was the CPU getting pegged or the GPU? That's what I'm curious about. Probably the GPU. Come on. Yes, we know. We can get seizures from awesome fun. We get it. Alright, we'll know once we get some bad dudes. Still a little stuttery over there. So how do I get this little secret over here? Present from compute. Recommended for disable if running issues with external screens overlay software. That's another thing I should turn off the other day. Here we go. Most important part of a Blue Sky server? Well, what do you mean? Like the personal data server? Here we go. I got your ruby. Okay, so I've got to get the ruby. I mean, I've got to get the, what you call it? Lots of space or R's. Doesn't, well, the space is more what you're storing on your server. It's not the same thing as a Mastodon server where it's pulling everything to it. You can run a Blue Sky server with a lot less resources than you can a Mastodon server. You could theoretically run a Blue Sky server off a Raspberry Pi with very little issues if you don't have too many users on it. Because it actually feeds into, shoot, what's the service they use to federate the data? I forget what that's called. That's right. Eat shit and die. Eat my boot. Why they all just disappear? Mm-hmm. That's it. Just get down on your knees and shuck it. You ever get the proton thing to work? What proton thing? There's so many things using proton, you gotta be a little bit more specific. Talking about Proton Mail, Proton VPN, Proton the game package I use. Proton game package. What do you think I'm doing to play? I think it's just a matter of I need to start looking at getting a better GPU. But I got higher priorities in my bucket. Okay, so what do we have? A pulverizer. Melee strikes now build and maintain charge. Reduced recovery time of the flail. Those 48 gigabytes are costly. Well, it's not really the memory so much as, well, for what I'm doing, it don't really matter. Yeah. Accelerator. Okay. I wish NVIDIA wasn't such a dick about the memory sizes. Did you see those new Intel, battle mages, I think it is, that are gonna have like 48 gigabytes? There we go. Smash ya. Fine, we'll use one life sigil. God damn it. That was a good run. But I don't feel like burning up my life sigils because I feel like I'm going to need those later. Oh, hold on. 1 second. There we go. God damn it. My timing really sucks. I'm just not used to this game's mechanic compared to the old Dooms. Okay. So you can do this. Yeah, it's annoying how like this game is so timing based. Eat shit and die. I just gotta embrace the old Doom rules. Don't stop moving. God, I can't even scratch my nose. Give me that ammo. Eat your heart out. That took a little too long. I do like the fact that they play the homage to the original Doom stuff because the potions and armor kind of look like the same. Oh, great. Oh, you think I'm locked in here with you? No, you're locked in here with me. I'll rip that arm off you.
Use the portal to get inside.
We're in a portal. Do I come right in and smash them in the face? What's up, Barack? Where's that, Poppers? Whee! Oh, okay, I see. I can get that gold over there. Sweet. Found a secret area. Oh. Boing! Okay, so that's fire underneath water. Boing!
Cache located. Seek out additional stockpiles.
Destroy gore portals. So for some reason, it's still a little bit laggy. It may just be because I'm now running basically on older hardware. Okay, so now let's see. What do we have? Faster from taking damage and also recover faster from breaking. Okay. The accelerator is increased at maximum charge. The is reduced at maximum charge. The impaler is actually one I need to start using a little bit more. Super shotgun. Oh no, there we go. The cycler. Deals increased damage to shock demons. Reduce the flail. Yeah, we'll do the flail time. Killing multiple fodder demons will empower your next shield charge, allowing it to... Sweet. Alright, let's go on to the next area. What are these orbs for? Have I cleared out most of this field, I guess? Sweet. Okay, that cleared that one out. All right, let's go tie this one. Oh, come on. Come on. Okay, we got almost all of them. There we go. Disabled. Come on. Almost gotcha. That's it. Yeah, I definitely need to look at getting a better GPU at some point, but that would mean getting a better power supply. And I'm not sure I want to drop that kind of money after getting all this ham equipment. Well, into the belly of the beast. I was expecting a little bit more than that, but okay. Let's see what we got. Best for gaming. They all use really the same components. There's no best distribution. There's the best that works for you. I like Pop OS. I've answered this like dozens of times. Everyone thinks there's always the best. It's more about what works best for you. Underneath the OS, it's really all the same components. You're all using the same GPU drivers. You're all using the same, kernels and other software. Just whatever you do, don't jump in and be like, oh, I'm going to use Arch for everything. Yeah, that's not going to work out well. I don't know why new people to Linux are like, oh, I'm going to start using Arch. Like, so predictable. Oh, there we go. Okay, so I got to... Try Mint. I mean, Mint's alright. My complaint about it is, I know they try to make it look like Windows, but the problem is that people get too comfortable with it and then don't try to explore things other than Mint, because I don't think people realize just how bad the user experience and workflow is inside of Windows. Just don't be afraid to experiment a little bit. Okay. This is what I don't like about these Doom games nowadays. They make you have to think. I don't want to think. I came here to shoot. Ooh. Boing! Third life sigil. Alright. Boing! Okay, where do I need to go? Ooh, I got a new gun. I get new boom boom. The chain shot. Oh, those are what those orbs are. Chain shot fires a dense spherical core that seals damage on contact. Deals damage on contact before being retracted. Hold to charge, greatly increasing the damage, max range and speed. Will deal significant damage to metal shields and armor. Nice. Hey, and you're dead.
Hellgate's eliminated.
The turrets are back online. Get the transports ready to launch.
We're beginning to evacuate civilians now. Thank you, Slayer.
Boom! What? No, I did. I clicked out of the game, apparently. Would you say the most secure Android would it be the Pixel plus Graphene OS? Yeah. But hands down, there's not really anything better that I've quite seen. Oh. There's gold here. Almost forgot about that gold. Damn invisible walls. I should be able to run right through those spikes. I've rolled at the Samsung phones as well. Well, talk to the developer. I got into it with one of the developers, whoever's running the Graphene OS account on what is it? Mastodon, because I happened to dare mention a phone that was what was it? The Librem 5? I mentioned that and I got into it with them and I mentioned, hey, here's the reality. Not everyone's threat model is going to be wanting to use a Google device. As well as the fact that, not everyone has access to them. Not special for using Linux. Well, you're not special for, still living in your mom's basement, but nobody's here, doing that. You're not special for using an Xbox, that's for sure. Hold up. So how do I get these? I can figure that out later. Let's go into this portal and see what we can do. Ooh, a secretaria. Oh. We're behind the gate. That makes sense. Now you see me, now you don't. One-off little dudes. Come on, give me some more. Alright, let's flip the switch. Alright, let's see. Where are we at? So how do I open this section up? Oh. Oh, that answers that. Okay. Get. Keep going up. I keep going to my other monitor. Okay, we've gotten all the gold over there. Okay, so we need to go over here then. There's a bunch of gold over there. Gold, gold, gold. All right. Keep going north. I think that's north. I don't really give you a compass per se. Nope, that area's been cleared. Screw it.
Seismic activity detected near the wall.
Okay. The hell is that? That's just a hand? He gonna be a big boy. Ooh. Clobbered in one hit. Ooh. And that's how the shield all comes down. %70 done. Half of the rubies. I got the demonic essences. Only 1/3 of the secrets, though. And half the codex entries. No collectible toys. All right. I think that's a great place to stop the game for tonight. Well, thank you all for joining me. If you haven't already, follow me on all of my socials. I am on, YouTube, Twitch, TikTok, Blue Sky, Mastodon. I do have a Discord server, and I do have a Matrix server as well, if you haven't joined that already. Plenty of tech people, cybersecurity, and everything there. So, thanks for joining me. I will be back, what is today, Wednesday? I'll be back on Sunday for the next stream. Maybe I'll have a couple extra ones. And then, yeah, so Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is when I stream. Don't forget about movie night that we have over in the Discord as well, Saturday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you all for joining me. I love y'all. Stay safe out there. Happy hacking, and stick around for the raid if you're over on the Twitch side of things. I will see you next time.